Hey, summertime in Maryland means only one thing, and that is steamed blue crabs. But is it cheaper to go out and catch them yourself, or maybe go to your local seafood market and buy them? Well, today we're going to break it down with real numbers, and we're going to find out what actually saves you money. So here's what we're doing. I'm comparing the true cost of a day out crabbing versus walking into a market and buying them. We're looking at gear, gas, bait, license, and even time. At the end, I'll let you know which route I think is worth it and why. All right, so let's talk about what you're going to need to catch your own crabs. First, you're going to need some gear, and most of this is a one-time upfront fee. First, what we like to use most of the time are collapsible traps. You're allowed 30 collapsible traps here in Maryland. The average cost is around $15 to $20. We paid $15, so $15 for 30 traps is going to cost you about $450. That is ready to go, fully rigged, ready to go crabbing. Your next thing you're going to need is bait. Now, she'll usually go out and she'll get about a 10-pound bag of chicken necks is our preferred bait to use. You can use salted eel. You can even use the little bags and get some razor clams, but they're much more expensive. So for a 10-pound bag, I would say it costs $10 to $15 per 10 pounds. Then you're going to need a basket. So the basket is most likely going to cost you about $10 to $24. The new baskets are more square baskets than the old original baskets. So we have the new red one, and that costs us, I believe, at $24 for that. Then you're going to need your license. Your license is going to cost you $5 here in Maryland. If you don't have a fishing license, it's $5. If you do have your fishing license, it will cost you $2 or $2.50. Tell you, make sure when you talk about cost, oh, there it is. When we talk about cost, we got 30 traps. So what we normally do is that we'll bring, you got to have obviously at least 30 chicken necks cost-wise. Okay. Now with that, if you have one of them days where the crabs are stealing your bait, you're definitely going to have to make sure that you don't really have to most of the time need this many, but sometimes you might. So she actually has another bag here. We haven't lost any today, but you always got to add that in to your cost. Why don't you stick around to the end for the most important takeaway of this whole video, and make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so whenever we hit a new video, it'll let you know. So the next method will be a trot line. We have a 1,200-foot trot line, and that holds 200 baits on the line with snooze. You can pretty much get a fully rigged trout line, chains, and your weights on each end, and your buoys. You could probably get for about $200, $300. Now with that, you're going to need a dip net. A good dip net's going to cost you anywhere between $50 and $80. You can go to Walmart and get yourself a cheap one for about $20. Now this is where we have 200 baits on there, so we will go out and buy a 40-pound box of chicken necks. That will cost you about $45 for 40 pounds of chicken necks. And that will give us a couple times out on the river if we use a trot line. If we're using the traps, that 40-pound box, especially as much as we go, will last good couple trips. You're going to need, for both, you're going to make sure that you need a measuring device, which is going to cost you probably cheap one, $10, $15. A real good one, you're going to pay about $25 to $35. And you're going to need yourself some tongs, which are ones that are going to be grabbing the crabs at. You could buy the crab gloves, a pretty good thick pair of gloves that are made just for handling crabs. And then last, you're going to need a roller. A roller is basically something that's going to lift the line up out of the water so you can dip the baits. You can go like I did right here and spend $400 for somebody to make one for your boat. Or the easiest way that I've done plenty of times is go in and spend about $10, $15 on some PVC and make it fit your boat, and rig it up that way. And then last but not least, probably the cheapest and funnest way to catch crabs is with a string. We found a place where you can actually catch your crabs from the bank or from a pier, or maybe you live on the water but don't want to go through all the trouble. And all you need is the string, chicken, and a dip net. That's it. That's the cheapest way. You do? Good.
And Chooch is gonna come down.
Okay. So we're here. We're eating again at Dock Sunset Grill, which we loved the first time we were here. And so to give you some kind of ideas of what the prices are when you're going out to a restaurant, this is actually not the market that we're going to go to, but this is a restaurant, and she's going to give us the prices of maybe what a dozen is, a large, and all that good stuff.
So
what's your name, young lady?
Callie.
Callie?
Yes.
What a name. That's nice.
Yes,
That's pretty.
thank you. So I do have medium and large crabs today. I have 6 for $50 and I have 12 for $90.
12 for $90. Are they large?
Yes. So
All
large
large?
and medium that you can get. They're both going to be about the same price.
Okay, so for a dozen for $90.
Yes.
All right. Now, let's talk about buying. At this market, a dozen of #1 males is going to go about $55 or about $50 live. Now, when you talk about a full bushel of crabs, you're going to be talking just #1s, anywhere between $200 and $300 for a full bushel, depending on the demand and the market value. So that means if you're looking to buy 2 dozen of big crabs, #1s, you're looking to be spending about $110 today. That is market value. So how much can you actually realistically catch on a good day? I can bring home a full bushel of crabs, and that's about anywhere between 5 to 7 dozens of crabs. On a slow day, in this part of the video that you're watching, this was our first trip of 2025, and we went and took the trotline, obviously. We bought lunch. We brought lunch with us and bought it. We got gas, and we bought $45 worth, which was a whole box of chicken necks, and we didn't catch 1 crab this day. Now, say you do on the day, you catch about 4 dozen of crabs. Well, that's about a little over $200 in market price. You spent maybe $70 in total. All right, let's talk about the good stuff and the bad stuff. Obviously, to me, being on the water can be an awesome day, especially with the wife, and especially taking the kids out. You never ever can. That's priceless. All right, you know when you catch crabs, they're going to be fresh. You know they're caught, and you're going to save. If you catch a lot of crabs, obviously you're going to really, really save big. Let's talk about the bad stuff. It's definitely going to take time to catch your own crabs. Sometimes we can be out there for 2 hours, or sometimes we be out there 4 to 5 hours. And weather's always a problem. If it's too windy, we don't go. If it's raining and really bad, we don't go. And of course, the upfront gear cost. All right, now let's talk about buying some crabs. Obviously, it's quick and easy, and it's very predictable. You know what you want, how much money you got, so you know exactly what you're going to get. And it's definitely great for a last minute thing. Me and the wife has done that before at the end of the season or at the beginning of the season, where we like to go out and maybe buy some crabs and the commercial guys are still out. Now, the cons, obviously, it's very expensive, and you just don't make memories like this. There's no fun, there's no story with it. So is catching cheaper? Absolutely, most of the time, yes. If you got the gear and you know what you're doing. If you just want a dozen of crabs for the weekend, buying might be easier. But if you love being outdoors, especially on the water like me and the wife do, catching your own is a way better deal and a better story. So what do you think? Would you rather catch them or buy them? Hey, drop a comment below and let me know. And if you enjoy this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out my other videos, especially if you're into Maryland seafood and outdoors adventures.